Good morning, campers. I am just leaving the Pleasant Pond lean-to. I actually tent camped about 75 yards away from the lean-to. You'll be seeing the lean-to in a moment when I pass it by. Today, right now, it's very nice out, but they're calling for rain later. Lunchtime, early afternoon, somewhere around in there. It looks like it'll be brief. It's about a 75-80% chance. Hopefully only last a couple of hours. That's going to influence my decision. Here, let me walk up to the shelter for you. That's going to influence my decision as to where I'm going to camp today. Sorry, it's really steep to get up to the shelter here. Oh, I forgot to sign the register. Okay, so here's the shelter. It's one of these old, dark, kind of not in great shape shelters. Today it's either 9 miles or 13.1. 9 mile mark would be the Bald Mountain Brook lean-to. I have to go over Pleasant Mountain for that. It's a 1.5 mile climb, about 1,000 feet, I think. And then you come down, and then it's fairly level until you get to the Bald Mountain Brook lean-to. If I decided to push on and do the 13.1 miles, I'd have to go over Moxie Bald Mountain. That's about a 1,500 foot vertical climb, and then down the other side to the Moxie Bald Mountain lean-to, I think it's called. So I'm totally fine with doing 13.1. Problem is the rain. So I'm kind of inclined to go short today, do the 9 miles today, save Moxie Bald Mountain for tomorrow, do the 13.1 tomorrow when I know the weather's going to be nicer, and then I'll only have a 9 mile day on Thursday. That'll get me into Monson, and I'll go to Shaw's Hostel, and I'll take a 0 there. So it's all going to be a function of the weather today, but I'm feeling like I'm just not going to take a chance. I'm going to go 9 miles and call it quits for the day. I don't want to be up on Moxie Bald Mountain when it starts raining, because then I'm just stuck. I just have to keep pushing on, and there's nothing I can do, and I'll get all wet. So I'm going to get going here in a second. I'm going to sign the register, and I'll hit the trail. That says Bald Mountain Brook lean-to 9.2 miles. I just double-checked Guthook, the GPS, and it's 9.0 miles, so that's 0.2 of a mile off. I don't know who puts these signs up or what they use to gauge distances, but GPS exists, guys. You can figure it out really, really closely, certainly within 0.1 of a mile. So that sign's 0.2 off. I've seen signs that were a mile off. Okay, literally a full mile off. So always use your GPS to double check distances, especially if it's important that you know exactly how far you got to go, such as you're on a timeline, you got to get somewhere for a shuttle, or you're trying to beat a storm that's supposed to come in at a certain time, or you want to get to camp a certain amount of time before darkfall, and so on. Don't trust the signs is what I'm saying. I'm on the summit of Pleasant Pond Mountain, which isn't that high up. It's only about 2,500 feet. But there's an interesting atmospheric inversion layer, and you can see the mountaintops above the clouds. So the clouds are actually below me. And if you look over like this way between those trees, you can see a mountaintop. Let me zoom in. See a little mountaintop peeking out right there above the clouds. And there's a little bit of mountaintop there. The big one right here. Let's see that peeking out. And the clouds are just very slowly drifting down to lower levels. You can see them moving from right to left across the screen there. So I don't know if that's an indication of the storm that's coming. It doesn't look like a bad storm, maybe a couple hours. But It sure is getting steamy out here, I can tell you that. So I took a snack break back there, right by this logging road, and they were logging, or not logging, they were doing some kind of construction project. I could hear the machines going and the trucks going by and stuff. I just sat there for about 20 minutes cooling off in the shade, having a snack, rehydrating. So I got up and started heading out again. One of the construction crew came down and said, "Hey, you want a water?" But he wasn't looking at me, and I'm like, who's he talking to? And I turn around, there's another hiker who'd come down behind me. I hadn't heard him. And he's like, "Yeah, of course." And I'm like, "Sure." So yeah, this construction worker went over to their truck, opened the cooler, took out 2 bottles of water, gave us each a bottle of cold water from the cooler. I was like, oh, thank God. That was so good to have cold water. So I put a Propel, I think it was a strawberry kiwi flavored drink mix into the water. And I just sucked the whole thing down, like a 20-ounce bottle. I just drank it in like a few minutes. So now I got a belly full of water, which is great because I got less than 3 miles to the shelter and only got half a liter of water, so I don't have to stop and get water again. I'm good to go until I get to the shelter. So thank you, construction crew, very much appreciated. I'm coming in the last mile here to the shelter. I think I'm going to stop short there. I'm not going to push over the next mountain. It's just too humid. I'm sweating. You can see shirt's all wet already. I'm not even going uphill. It's been a relatively easy hike today, except for the climb over Pleasant Pond Mountain. There's even a breeze, but it's just the air is so humid. And in my defense, this is not my imagination, because I washed my shirt, my bandana, and my light load towel and my hat yesterday in Pleasant Pond. I rinsed them all off. I didn't use soap. I just rinsed them real good to get the salt from the sweat out of them. And I hung them up on the line to dry last night when I got back to camp around, I don't know, 6 o'clock, let's say. And this morning, when I got out of the tent around 6 o'clock, 12 hours later, they still weren't dry, especially the shirt. The bandana was mostly dry. The light load towel was still a little damp. The shirt was a lot damp. So there's just so much humidity in the air, stuff isn't drying. So it's not my imagination. It really is very humid up here in Maine. I never imagined it would be humid and muggy in Maine like it is down in Pennsylvania and Virginia and stuff. It's not even that hot, but it feels hot because of the humidity. It feels like it's 80. It might be 80, I don't know. But it's just yucky. Sticky, gross, sweaty, yuck. Ugh. I almost would rather it be cold, frankly, because you can always put more layers on and still not sweat. You can, adjust things better, but you can only take off so much. And it's still hot and it's muggy and sweaty. It's hard to sleep when it's muggy, you know how it is. Ugh. So anyway, not the weather I was expecting in Maine, I have to be honest. Even in August, this isn't what I thought Maine would be like in August. And here we are, Bald Mountain Brook lean-to. It's only 1:30. Plenty of time to push on another 4.1 miles to the next shelter, but it involves a mountain climb over Moxie Bald Mountain. And I'm hot and sweaty. And there's supposed to be rain later this afternoon. So I'm going to cut my losses short and stay here. So there's my campsite. I'm here at I think it's Bald Mountain Brook shelter, I believe. In the event, I decided to tent. I put up my tent not knowing if the rain was going to come, and boy, did it ever come. I could have had a spot in the shelter. I think there's 6 or 7 people in there. It's designed for 8. And when you get above 6 in an 8-person shelter, it's a pretty tight fit. So I'm glad I'm in my tent. The tent seemed to fare well in the rain. I did get some splashback around the edges, but that always happens. But hopefully I'll get a good night's sleep in my tent there. As you can see, it's right there. It's my tent. I'll get a good night's sleep. Boy, it came down hard. 15, 20 minutes. I mean, it was raining and then it got stronger and stronger. Then it was just pouring hard. And then people started coming in soaking wet, you know, in their rain gear. Anyway, it's only 5:45, but I've had dinner. I just brushed my teeth. I'm going to hang my earth sack, put the rain cover on it to keep it somewhat dry during the night because it might rain some more. And then I'm just going to get in bed and do some reading and organize some videos and things like that. And then I'll probably just call it a night at about 7. Get a good night's sleep, hopefully, and get up at 5 and got a 13-mile day tomorrow. So, see you night.